What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 138 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Wednesday, January 28, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malum, but before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of basketball as the New York Knicks were in action this weekend. Starting off on Saturday, they went down to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Knicks come out with a 112-109 win behind 31 points from Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks, who came into the game losing both games against Philadelphia so far this season, both of those games at Madison Square Garden. You knew Philly would want to win a third one this time back on their home floor, and the Knicks go down to Philly and take a nice win on the road. They move to 27-18 on the year, and they're 10-12 on the road this year, but Philly, who's been a really solid team on the road, not great at home, falls to 12-13 at home on the season. And the Knicks with 31 points from Jalen Brunson. They also got 13 rebounds and 10 points from Josh Hart in the game, 7 assists as well. Great game for him. Karl-Anthony Towns was basically invisible throughout this game. He dealt with foul trouble and actually fouled out of the game with 6 fouls. Mitchell Robinson ended up playing 27 minutes in this game. That's the first time in a long time that you'll see Mitchell Robinson with 27 minutes, almost 30 minutes on the floor. But he had to step up with Towns in foul trouble. Towns only had 10 points in the game with 6 rebounds. He took 4 shots, and that was it for Cat on the day. OG Anunoby also was really involved in this one. 23 points with 10 of 15 shooting, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, as well as 2 steals in the game. Great stuff by Anunoby, and the Knicks really followed Brunson and Anunoby to the finish line in this game. Mikal Bridges was horrible in this game. 3 of 16 shooting, 1 of 9 from beyond the arc, still had 9 points in the game, but the Knicks needed contributions off the bench as well. Deuce McBride had 9 points on just 3 of 11 shooting, 1 of 8 from beyond the arc. And Landry Shamet, who's been so solid lately for this Knicks team, had 12 points off the bench in 25 minutes, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 3 3-pointers in this game. So the Knicks get a huge win on the road. They take down Philadelphia, and I think a huge part of that as well was still dealing with Joel Embiid on the other side. 38 points in this game with 11 rebounds, 5 assists. A phenomenal game by Embiid, but only 22 points from Tyrese Maxey. And you may say 22 points, that's still a lot. Yeah, not for a guy like Maxey, who's really terrorized the Knicks all season long in both matchups that they had at Madison Square Garden. So good job by the Knicks getting a huge win on the road, and then they headed back home to take on the Sacramento Kings. That one took place yesterday evening, and the Knicks ended up defeating the Kings in this game. They come out with a big-time 103-87 win, and you look at the Knicks, they're all of a sudden on a 3-game winning streak. Of course, when you look at it, though, those 2 games in between or beyond the Philly game were against 2 of the worst teams in all of basketball in Sacramento as well as Brooklyn. And the Knicks ended up winning it 103-87. The Kings fall to 12-36 on the year. Knicks move to 28-18 on the season, 18-6 on their home floor. They got 28 points from Jalen Brunson in this game, and every single time the Knicks win a game, it seems that Jalen Brunson is just at the heart of it. Really good stuff from him. Had 4 3-pointers in the game. But you look at the big story coming out of this one, and it is Karl-Anthony Towns, who did have 17 points in this game, 5 of 15 shooting, 3 3-pointers as well, had 11 rebounds down low. But this was just an odd game for Karl-Anthony Towns. Some bad shots, some bad defense, some really not great stuff you were seeing from Cat down low. Even though he had those 11 rebounds, he was dominant down low. I do think Karl-Anthony Towns knows he can be better. And 27 minutes in this game, he was actually taken out of the game for the last couple of minutes of this one just because of struggling. Mike Brown wanted to go a different avenue, and I think rightfully so. Karl-Anthony Towns has not been the same player that the Knicks were hoping for since they acquired him from Minnesota at the start of last season. Just not the same guy that they were looking at to really be a dominant force, a 1A, 1B next to Jalen Brunson. it just has not been that way. And of course, the rumors coming out today that Giannis Antetokounmpo and the reports that he will be looking for a trade, whether it's at the trade deadline or in the offseason, out of Milwaukee. And really, when you look at it, if I'm the Knicks, I'm driving Karl Anthony Towns to the airport if it means that I'm getting Giannis Antetokounmpo to come in and be the star player down low for this Knicks team. Yes, it's going to be a hefty price. Yes, you're going to have to give up a lot, it looks like. But I'm willing to do it if it means Karl Anthony Towns for Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that's a no-brainer for this Knicks team. Of course, it's not that easy. The Bucks are going to want a hefty price for Giannis, but in the end, if they are able to dish out Karl Anthony Towns to the Milwaukee Bucks, I am all for it. And the New York Knicks, we'll see what they do. They end up winning their third straight game. Yes, you cannot take too much into it when you look at who they played in that stretch. Nets and Kings. Obviously, the great win down in Philadelphia to take down the 76ers on Saturday. But the Knicks are in action again tonight. It's a back-to-back, a 7:30 start as they travel up to Toronto to take on the Toronto Raptors. And interestingly, the Raptors come into this game as 1.5-point favorites, total sitting at 220.5. An interesting line based on the Raptors have been really good this year. 29-19 record. They are now fourth in the Eastern Conference, just a game back from the New York Knicks, who end up heading into this game as an underdog. They are 9-12 on the road this year, so we'll see what happens with this one as the Knicks have a very tough game. They have to end up taking on a Raptors team that, like I said, is rolling right now, and they're led by their star man in Brandon Ingram, who's been a really good acquisition since he was acquired last year from the New Orleans Pelicans. But when you look at Brandon Ingram, 21.5 points per game this season, 5.9 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game, and you pair him up with some scorers around him, some hard workers as well. Scotty Barnes is just so underrated, in my opinion, in the NBA, and 19.5 points per game paired with 8.3 rebounds per game, 5.6 assists per game. He's averaging over a steal and a block per game this season. Just remarkable stuff. And like I said, one of the most underrated players in all of basketball. And then obviously some old faces from this Knicks team. RJ Barrett, who's averaging 19 points per game this season in just 25 games. He's dealt with some injury. And Emmanuel Quickley, 17.1 points per game this season in 45 games. So when you look at it, not going to be an easy game for this Knicks team. They have a tough opponent up in Toronto. And of course, it tells you that by the Knicks being underdogs heading into this game. Of course, Mitchell Robinson is a game time decision in terms of an ankle issue that he's dealing with. And then on the other side, you got Jakob Poeltl, who's out due to a back injury right now, still dealing with that. And so the Knicks really have a battle down low. Even though Poeltl's out of the game, they also have a real battle dealing with Brandon Ingram as well as Scotty Barnes. So we'll see what happens in this one. Should be a phenomenal game. Make sure you tune in. The Knicks on the second game of a back-to-back, a 7:30 start up in Toronto as the Knicks take on the Raptors. Staying in the world of basketball, but shifting things to the college game as St. John's took on Xavier on Saturday afternoon out in Cincinnati, and the Red Storm come back from down 16 points midway through the second half. They win it 88-83, a huge win for the Johnnies and their sixth win in a row, as they also get Rick Pitino's 900th career victory. He is fourth all-time now, passing Bobby Knight on the all-time wins list. He's 3 off of Roy Williams at 903, Jim Boeheim at 1116, and of course Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski at 1202, number 1 all-time. A huge achievement for Rick Pitino. He said after the game, his next goal, get 1,000, as he would pass Roy Williams in the next couple of games if he's racking up wins like the Johnnies are right now. A huge win, like I said, on the road against a tough Xavier team in comeback fashion. Dylan Darling hits a huge three-pointer with just over 50 seconds left. Ruben Prey, a putback layup with 13 seconds left, and a huge win for the Red Storm. 6 straight wins in Big East play. They are 8-1 in Big East play this season. 15-5 on the year. And really, when you look at it, Dylan Darling has been a huge player in Big East play the last couple of games, especially just coming up big down the stretch when Bryce Hopkins, Zuby Ejiofor are being locked down by the defense. You get a guy like Darling who comes in off the bench and gives you the production that you need. Phenomenal defense as well. He made about 3 straight plays, whether it was offense and defense, down the stretch of this game that were absolutely huge, including 3 3-pointers on the day, 11 points he had in just 17 minutes, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And really, when you look at his work on the defensive side, it's not completely shown on the stat sheet in terms of steals and blocks. But last game he had 3 steals. This game he didn't have any, but you saw the work that he was able to put in on the defensive side of the ball, getting in some great areas and really stepping up for St. John's in this one. Bryce Hopkins had 18 points in this game in 37 minutes. Dylan Mitchell also was a huge contributor for the Johnnies in this one, especially once Zuby Ejiofor was dealing with some foul trouble. Ended up fouling out of this game in 31 minutes, but Dylan Mitchell, 17 points on 7 of 8 shooting, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals as well. And this is a guy who's looking to become a pro at the end of the season, and rightfully so. He's playing phenomenal basketball right now, and you definitely look at the NBA scouts looking at him, the size, the length that he has, and his just ability to break up passes, his ability to get into the lane and drive past defenders is just phenomenal. He can also bring up the ball, and he could be a point forward for this St. John's team. He's done that recently in the last couple of games, and it's really worked for the Johnnies. They also got a good contribution from Ian Jackson in this game. 16 points in 26 minutes, started this one as well. 6 of 11 shooting, 3 3-pointers, and that's a guy who's just really looking for minutes right now. He did not get much in that game against Seton Hall, the win at Madison Square Garden, but there are big moments where really St. John's needs to go with Ian Jackson. They need some points. They need to come back into a game, and Ian Jackson, as long as he's taking great shots and his shot selection is on point, this is a guy who can really give you a huge contribution in terms of scoring, and that's what the Red Storm are looking for. That's exactly what they got in Jackson on Saturday. So an 88-83 win in Big East play over Xavier. Tough game on the road. And now the Red Storm, who are now number 25 in the nation, they return to Madison Square Garden tonight, a 7 o'clock start as they host the Butler Bulldogs at MSG, and St. John's comes into this game as 12.5-point favorites, total sitting at 161.5. An interesting game for St. John's against a Butler team who's 4-5 in Big East play so far this season, and they are coming off of a couple of wins in a row. You look at the last 3 games, a very nice win on the road at Seton Hall just last week, 77-66, the final in that game. They took down DePaul as well as Marquette in the last 2 home games for the Butler Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs are rolling right now, but it's also a team that St. John's has faced so far this season. You look back a couple of weeks ago, St. John's traveled to Butler, and they took on the Bulldogs with an 84-70 win. Zuby Ejiofor had 18 points in that game. Bizjack on the other side for Butler had 21 points, and that's a guy that the Red Storm are going to have to look out for once again tonight. So it should be a great matchup, as make sure you tune in later, 7 o'clock start, as St. John's host Butler at Madison Square Garden. Let's finish things off today in the world of football, as I do want to touch on some news that broke yesterday. 8-time Super Bowl winner Bill Belichick will not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. He will not be inducted into Canton, Ohio this summer. And let me be clear, Bill Belichick is absolutely a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. 6-time Super Bowl winner as a head coach with New England. 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Giants as a defensive coordinator. And you could say what you want about Bill Belichick and the players that he had at his disposal throughout his coaching career. The greatest quarterback who ever lived in Tom Brady, the greatest defensive player who ever lived in Lawrence Taylor. But Bill Belichick clearly should be in the Hall of Fame one day. I think when you look at it, Bill Belichick cheated. And really, anybody surprised that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, considering that Spygate, Deflategate were all proven that Bill Belichick was guilty in that case, and to all of a sudden say that, well, even so, he won 8 Super Bowls, so he should be in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's not how it works. What makes this any different in the National Football Hall of Fame, the National Baseball Hall of Fame, where in baseball, anybody that did steroids or did any performance-enhancing drugs will not be in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens, one of the greatest pitchers who ever lived, the greatest home run hitter who ever lived in Barry Bonds, one of the greatest home run hitters ever, and Alex Rodriguez. All of those guys, there's plenty more that are not in the Baseball Hall of Fame because they cheated. So now in football, where yes, there's not as many voters, there's only 50 voters versus over 300 voters for the National Baseball Hall of Fame, these writers think the same. All of them, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, if you cheated and cheated the system in order to win in the end, you're going to get punished for it. And Bill Belichick ends up getting punished for it. So a lot of people freaking out as if Bill Belichick is completely innocent in the situation. And in the end, oh, but he won 8 Super Bowls. Yeah, but he cheated to probably get to a couple of them. So that in the end forces him out as a first ballot Hall of Famer. A lot of the guys that he's next to, there's only been 4 coaches that are first ballot Hall of Famers. And Bill Belichick, although he has won more than any of those guys, he did cheat along the way to get there and was proven guilty. So I don't know why the public is completely stunned in the end and saying it's a disgrace. They should punish the voters. All these voters, whether it's in baseball, whether it's in football, whether it's in basketball, they all vote the same. If you cheated, you're not going to get their vote. And that's how it works right now. Bill Belichick will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame probably next summer. But really, there's the punishment. He's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because in the end, he cheated and was proven guilty for it. So that's just how it goes. And Bill Belichick will wait another summer, even though he's puzzled, disappointed. The NFL world is puzzled and disappointed. The guy cheated and in the end was proven guilty. So Bill Belichick will not be in Canton this summer. He'll probably be in Canton next summer. And that's how it will go for Bill Belichick as we end episode 138 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, and thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Monday.